Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to build a fun and powerful quiz app using object-oriented programming in Python. So past couple of videos we have been learning about various concepts in object-oriented programming. Now is the time that we apply whatever we have learned in a problem. So the idea of this challenge is that we have to create this quiz app which supports different types of questions. So a person can ask a multiple choice question. It could be a true and false question. It could be also a fill in the blank sort of question. And then with each question, there would be a difficulty level associated. And based on the difficulty, you will get the points. And then a final score will be published. So this challenge, this problem statement is a very good problem statement for learning all the OOPS concept, for applying all the OOPS concept, and to also understand why OOPS is so important. So try it out. Try to do this problem without using object-oriented programming. Just for the fun of it, try it out and see how difficult it is compared to when you try to solve the same problem but using OOPS. So as always, stop the video, try to solve this by yourself, come back and check the solution. Hope you were able to solve this problem. Now let's try to solve it together. So let's build the foundation first. We have these questions that we want to create, a questions bank. So we can create a class called question. Every question, no matter what type of question it is, whether it's MCQ, true or false, fill in the blank, will have some common properties. So a question will have a prompt, the question itself, the answer, the correct answer to that question, and the difficulty level of that question. So these would be the attributes, the instance attributes of the questions class that we are planning to create. Now, what we want to do with this questions class, we can have a method called as check answers, which will check the answers, whether the user answer or the user response matches the actual answer to this problem. So we can have a function or a method called as check answer. So this question class can be our base class. And then for different types of questions like MCQ, fill in the blank, and true and false type of questions, we can have classes which will inherit from this base class question. So let's work on this class first. Let's create a class called as question. Let's define our attributes, the instance attributes inside this init method. First argument is always self. It will take the prompt, the answer, and the difficulty level. And let's set these variables. So prompt is equal to prompt self dot answer equal to answer. Now let's write this check answer function. Check underscore answer. First argument is always self. Now here we'll basically capture the user's answer. Let's have a variable called as user answer. And then this check answer will return a Boolean value true or false based on whether the answer is correct or not. So let's have a condition here. Let's just check if self dot answer is equal to user answer or not. If they are equal, this will return true. The user has answered the question correctly. If this doesn't match, it will return the Boolean value false. So we will just strip off the spaces using strip function and convert everything to lowercase. So let's do the same thing here also. So we have our class ready. Let's just quickly check it out. So let's say I create Q1 and question. Let's create an object of this question class. First thing that we have to pass is the prompt. What is capital of France? Let's give the answer. And the difficulty level is, let's say, easy. So if you check Q1 dot prompt, this is what we are getting. This is fine. If I say print Q1, it gives us all of this, but this doesn't mean much for the user. So rather than printing that this Q1 is an object of question class, what if we can, when we say print Q1, what if we can get the question and the answer and maybe the difficulty level as well? So for that, we can use this dunder methods, str. So this is a special method which will be called if we do print Q1. So first argument is self, and we want to just return the F string with the question, the prompt, and the answer. Or maybe not the answer, right? We would not like to divulge the answer. Maybe the difficulty level. You can say in the brackets, difficulty level. Now let's create this question and print Q1. And this is what we are getting. What is the capital of France? Difficulty level is easy. Easy. Let's just capitalize easy. Doesn't look very good. Using capitalize. Sorry, I'm doing it at the wrong place. So here we have to do it. Perfect. Let's also test our check answer. So if I call this Q1 dot check answer, and let's say the user replies with another city, it's returning a false. If the user replies with the correct city, it's returning the value true, the Boolean value true. So far, so good. It's working fine. Now we have different question types, so we can just create individual class from them, which will inherit from this question class. So let's do it for the MCQ first. Class MCQ, and it will inherit from the question class. That is how you make it inherit. Now the MCQ will have all the above attributes, all of these attributes plus an additional attribute, which is the option. The multiple choice questions, you also have to give the options. So we have to basically extend the functionality of this init because we have an extra attribute to set. So what we'll do is we'll add another option here. Let's just call it options. And then for setting all the other attributes except for options, we can leverage this function which is already in the parent class. We can call this function. How do you call a function in the parent which is present in the parent class? Using super method. So we can say super dot, and what this will do, this will call the init method of the parent class, the question class. the prompt, answer, and the difficulty level. And then to set this options variable, let's say the user passes list of all the options. So we can say self.options is equal to options. Anything else that we want to change in the question class? So yeah, this string, we would also like to see in the case of MCQ, the options provided. So we have to override this function as well. So we'll say def underscore underscore str. Let's just overwrite it. So self, and it will print all of this plus the options. Options are, and I'm just passing the options as a list itself, but you can go ahead and join those list, the items of the list as a string. That would look better, but for now, I'm just printing the list as it is. It's giving us error. So there's an indentation issue. All of this should be in one line. Now I think it is fixed. Fine. And likewise, let's just create the child class for true and false question and also for fill in the blank. We'll inherit from the question class. So here, I mean, we'll just keep this class as it is. We'll not change anything. So I'll put a pass as a placeholder. Same for fill in the blanks. I'm happy with what I have right now here in the question class, and I don't want to add any extra functionality and all in the fill in the blank. So I'll just keep it as it is. This also inherits from the question class, and nothing going on here. Pass. No changes are needed. In the MCQ class, we have overridden the string method to print out multiple choices. The other two, the true and false and fill in the blank, work just fine with the base functionality. So this is great. Now let's try if this works or not. So maybe with a fill in the blank, if I say this name error because I've not executed this. So yeah, this works fine. Print Q1 and check answer. So everything is working fine. So we have our questions ready. Whatever questions we need, we can just create an object of that, and we'll have the question, the answer to that question, and the difficulty level. We also have a function to check the answer that the user has provided. Now we have to build the quiz class that will run everything. So let's first brainstorm what all attributes want in this quiz class and what kind of methods or behaviors we want from this quiz class. So the name of the class, let's say, is quiz. Definitely it would have the list of the questions. So a quiz is nothing but multiple questions. So it would have list of these questions, and the questions could be of different types, MCQs, true and false, fill in the blank. So for now, let's just keep question as one of the instance attribute of the quiz. And another one that we will have is the score. What is the score? Then what are the methods or the behavior of this quiz class? So we would want to calculate the score. So that's one. Calculate score. Let's just call it points. Calculate points. And then one method to start the quiz. Let's call that method start. Which will start the quiz. So calculate point method would basically calculate the point associated with each question. So based on whether the question is easy, difficult, medium, you have a point associated. The start, what we want We want to basically ask the question from the user. So we want to show the user one question at a time. So ask the question. We would want him to, respond to that question. So we'll take an input from the user. Then next thing that we would want to do is once the user has inputted their response, we would like to check their answers. So how do we check the answer? We already have a function called as check answer in the question class. So we need to call that. So we need to check the answer. Then the answer is correct. If answer is correct, we need to fetch the points. So fetch the points earned for that question, which is again based on this calculate points function, right? So we need to call that from inside start. And then we need to calculate the final score. We need to just keep on adding the score as the user gets the answer correct. And in the end, we want to display the final score. Okay, so we have a plan, it seems. Let's try it out. Class, quiz. Let's set our attributes. Self is first argument. Questions. Let's call this variable questions. Score, in the beginning, the score is 0. So we don't take the score as an input from the user. So let's just do self dot questions, and we expect the use this questions to be a list data type with all the questions as elements of that list. Questions and self dot score, we are initializing it to 0. Initial score is 0. Then let's write this calculate points function. So we'll say calculate underscore points. Self is the first argument. Then what else it will take as an input? The difficulty level of the question. And then based on this difficulty level, it will return a value. So we can just write it down in one line, return. So we have a dictionary, let's say. So if the difficulty level is easy, value is 1, you get 1 point. If it is medium, you get 2 point. And if it is hard, you get 3 points. Now we want to fetch the value based on the key. We have a get function for that. So we can say get, and we already have the difficulty, but difficulty could be small case, uppercase. So let's just convert everything to lowercase. So difficulty dot lower, comma 2. So here we are saying that if the difficulty is not known, just return 2. Assume it is medium difficult. So this is fine. Now next up, we have to write our start function. We have already listed down what we expect to do in the start function. Now all that we have to do is write the Python code for this logic. Self. Maybe first let's write a welcome message. Print. Welcome to the quiz. Then we'll ask the question. All the questions we have here as a list. So we can loop over these questions one by one. So we'll say for question in self dot questions, and we'll just print the question. And then we will prompt user to give a response to this question. And then We'll check the answer. So for checking the answer, we have this check answer function in the question class. Let's just call it question.check answer. And we'll provide this user answer to this function. It will return a Boolean value true or false. So if this is true, if the user has answered the question correctly, then this value would be true. What we want to do? We want to fetch the score, whether he has earned 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point. So then we will call this calculate point function. Self dot calculate points, and we will pass the difficulty level of this question. We have an attribute called difficulty level. I think it's called difficulty level. Yeah, the attribute is difficulty level. So this is the one that we need to call. And this will give us the difficulty level, which will in turn pass to here. And based on whether the difficulty level is easy, medium, or hard, it will return one of the values, 1, 2, or 3. Let's save this value in a variable point. And let's also let the user know that they have answered the question correctly. We can say correct, correct answer. And we can also maybe specify the points that they have earned. Else, if they've not got the answer right, we can say wrong answer. And if you want, you can print the correct answer also for them. And I'll just go ahead and print the correct answer as well. We have the correct answer in the answer attribute of question class answer. And once we have asked all the questions, we are outside of this for loop, we can print the final score. But we have not updated the score. So let's just do it here. You can say self dot score is equal to self plus score plus this point here. Just keep adding the score as and when the user gets the answer right. And once we are outside of the for loop, we can go ahead and print the score. Let's just write a message also here saying your final score is yes, done. So hopefully this should work fine. I hope we have not made any mistakes while typing this out. So this start function is printing a welcome message, printing each question one by one, checking the taking it input from the user, checking the answer. If the answer is correct, calculating the point associated with that question based on the difficulty level of that question, and then updating the score. Otherwise, if the answer is not correct, printing the correct answer and telling the user that they have not got the answer right, and finally printing the final score. So great, let's just test it now. So let's create this questions variable where I'll have list of all the questions. Directly here, I'll just create the questions. So let's first have a MCQ question. So MCQ is the name of the class. It takes all these inputs. So we have to give it the inputs in the same order. So prompt, options, answer, and then the difficulty level. Okay, so let's give the input in the same order. So let's say we say what is just be a string data type. What is 2 plus 2? Second argument is the options. So let's give all the options. Okay, three options here. Then the correct answer. The correct answer is 4. And then the difficulty level, which is easy. So this right here is an object of this MCQ class, which inherits from the questions class. Let's do one more. True and false. So the class name was true false. It takes three inputs. First the question, then the answer, then the difficulty level. The earth is flat. And then you have the answer and then the difficulty level. And maybe for the fill in the blank, the name of the class is fill in the blank. I'll just take this one as it is, copy paste. And let's just tag it medium. You can have more MCQs question here. You can have more true and false. You can have more fill in the blanks. Okay, so add as many questions as you want here. And yeah, our question bank is ready. Now we want to quiz on these three questions. So we'll create an object of the quiz class and we will pass the questions as an input. So quiz questions. Quiz takes no argument. So why is it saying quiz takes no argument? Because we do have, okay, I have misspelled the init method here. It's underscore underscore init underscore underscore. I think I've got one extra underscore here. So now because that init function, the special function was missing because I had misspelled it, the quiz function was not calling any constructor function. So it was not expecting any arguments to be passed in creating the object of this quiz class. So now once we have fixed this worked fine. Now let's call the start method. This right here, dot start, doesn't take any input, right? And welcome to the quiz. What is 2 plus 2? And these are the options. Difficulty level is easy. Let's say, let's say 3 intentionally. The correct answer is false, and it is saying our answer is incorrect. Uh, then the earth is flat. Let's say false. Fine. Correct answer. We got 1 point. And then capital of France. 2 points. Then it is giving us name error. Name score is not defined. Why? Do you know what the issue is? The issue is that it should be self.score. This is the attribute. Now let's try running it one more time. 4, true. And so now our final score is 3. So what isn't it great fun, everyone? Now what you can try is maybe try shuffling the question. So you can use the random module for it. You can use the shuffle function of the random module to shuffle the questions. You can track scores for multiple users probably. Maybe you can load the questions from a text file. Instead of putting all the questions like this, generally a person would create a text file, And from the text file, the questions would be read. So try doing that as well. Load the questions from a text file. If you like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your version of the quiz app. I would love to check it out, add more features to it than we have here. You can make it as complex as you want. You can play around with it, add new features to it. I hope you enjoyed this one. See you in the next one. Thank you for watching.